Comparison is a thief of joy because ease and hardship cannot be seen or judged or assessed with the naked eye. And I will explain to you why. It is a rather complex topic, so do try to stay focused. Here's a standard human with a mind, body, and soul. How do we know what someone is going through? Well, there are many indicators. That's all we have going for us because we don't really know, so that's why I use that word. I call it indicators, and we can refer to this as quality of life indicators. And the most common is the material indicator, and the sub-indicators include where they live, what car they drive, what clothes they wear, and so on, which can easily be seen, but things like their actual income, other assets are hardly known. And depending on the person's character, what they value more, their career or their job, these sub-indicators are going to differ in their weightage accordingly. And a low score means it's doing bad, and a high score means it's doing good. Now, even with that, we have absolutely no idea about their commitments and financial burdens, which is another mostly unknown indicator. Even if you have a large income, making sure all these are taken care of all the time is a lot of stress and therefore a form of hardship in itself. And let's say they look well off and they have their commitments under control. We still have no idea about their relationships with other people. A lot of people with money go home to an unhappy marriage and their life is terrible. And many have good jobs, but they have problems with their children at home. And if they are good parents, the weightage there is going to be bigger and the scores low, so it will significantly impact their happiness, and a big part of their life feels like a terrible hardship. And there are other big things that we don't know about. There are physical or physiological indicators. For example, if they're struggling with health conditions, how many people lead a good life only to suffer with cancer for years and die? And how many people are suffering lifelong, chronic, debilitating pains? Health is wealth, and many would trade their material well-being for better health. And what if despite everything being good, good job, decent amount of money, not suffering any diseases or have any significant issues with other people in their lives, but they struggle immensely with their mental state or their psychological health? Many struggle with cognitive issues or neurological disorders that makes it really hard for them to manage their lives. And you can ask people with ADHD, or people who've been diagnosed with bipolar disorder or generalized anxiety disorder, or people who've been diagnosed as psychopath, and some people have major depressive disorder and so on. And the more these things affect their life, the higher the weightage and the lower the score. So overall, it negatively impacts their quality of life, and they undergo an invisible hardship, even though on the outside they look well and things appear good with their lives. And some people have everything going good or appear to be going good, but they have a poor connection with God and they feel like something's missing, something important and something crucial is incomplete, like a splinter in their minds. And I borrowed that quote from The Matrix, but they can't put their finger on it. And nothing material or nothing physical and nothing social can fill this void in their hearts, and they go through life with an invisible torment. And this is a form of hardship that they will either face now in their lifespan or after that. But we'll get to that later. So the first takeaway here is that there are so many indicators and even more sub-indicators about someone's life that we don't know about. The second takeaway is that even if we do know, there's no standard, accurate way of measuring these things. And the last takeaway is that because there are so many factors, things start to look more even, more fair, if you may, when you take everything into account about someone's life. And you start to see that it's not all rainbows and sunshine for everyone. Everyone is going through something. And we know this to be true because we know that the true nature of this life is that it's a test, and everyone will be tested in their own ways. Now, despite this reality, how do people portray themselves? Of course, people are going to cherry pick only the best things that they got going on in their lives and exaggerate it. And in the context of what I'm showing here, people choose only their highest scoring indicators to be displayed to the world, the best version of themselves in social media or other social or public settings. And that's if people are being honest. Many are just faking it. So in the case where people are being honest, this cherry picking and glazing and exaggeration is still going to result in what is known in statistics as the overrepresentation of skewed, narrow, fake, flawed, outlier data instead of the average data. And in any assessment, garbage in, garbage out. So because the data coming in is garbage, we also get garbage results. So we get skewed, narrow, fake, flawed picture of reality. And we think being rich and famous is the norm for most people. We think that being happy is the normal state for most people. Having this, having that, accomplishing this, accomplishing that are the normal, average, and even standard things in society, when that is far from the truth. And no wonder so many people feel so depressed and sad. We think we never have enough, never happy enough, never accomplish enough, and so on. And some people feel disillusioned by the system and angry with the whole thing, and they completely reject it. Some people seclude themselves from it. And some people fall into the rat race and they succumb to this societal pressure that we did to ourselves, and they become overcome by greed and ambition to achieve wealth, power, fame by any means necessary. So we did this to ourselves. We make terribly flawed assessments about each other. We succumb to our own lies. We believe our own lies to be the truth, and we spiral down this endless cycle. So the injustice comes from us, not from God. And that is why God says in the Quran, God does not wrong people in the least, but it is people who wrong themselves.